the buildings, and the fountain of the four rivers. The square is crowded but balanced. Bin warms the sky, casting golden light over busy without disorder. Vendors arrange their stalls. Travelers cross the open river of people and sound. The low sun in space, and children weave between groups of adults. The oval shape of the piazza 1700s feels like a wide noise. Piazza Navona in the midst, once a Roman stadium, still guides each year. Rome breaks from routine and is controlled or quiet. For a brief time, it's the movement within it. Even in the evening light, performers below. Nothing about this moment to a stage. This scene captures that energy perfectly. The avenue is packed with people in colorful clothing, musicians filling the air with sound, and groups laughing as they move through the crowd. Carriages push carefully through the chaos while vendors shout to be heard. The square feels theatrical, as if it remains a stage built for spectacle. Santa Maria in Via Lata rests quietly along one of Rome's older streets. Its facade rises with clean Baroque lines and tall, elegant columns. In this engraving, the church feels restrained and solemn, framed tightly by neighboring buildings. People move gently across the steps, their small figures softened by the scale of the architecture. In the 18th century, this was a familiar corner of the city where religious life blended naturally into daily routines. The church was not a destination, but a constant presence along the path to markets, workshops, and homes. The Colosseum appears warm and active in this later view, its arches softened by vegetation growing between the stones. By the 1700s, the structure was both ruin and living space. People gather along its base to talk, trade, or pass through with animals and carts. Monks walk beside soldiers, and local families follow paths once used by emperors in vast crowds. Nearby, the Arch of Constantine stands quietly, partially obscured by haze. The scene shows how Rome's ancient monuments were fully woven into everyday life, still towering, but no longer untouchable. St. Peter's Square appears wide and open in this 18th century perspective. Before the space reached its final monumental form, the newly completed basilica dominated the area completely. Its massive dome rises over the city like a second horizon. The obelisk anchors the center, while small groups move calmly across the open ground. Riders on horseback, clergy, and travelers share the square, giving it a steady, everyday rhythm. Without the completed colonnades enclosing the space, the plaza feels vast and exposed, a meeting place for faith and daily life under open sky. The Tiber River spills beyond its banks in this dramatic 18th century engraving. Viewed from Ponte Sant'Angelo, the scene feels heavy and tense. Boats struggle against the current as people gather along the bridge to watch the rising water. Castel Sant'Angelo stands firm on the river's edge, unmoved by the chaos below. In the distance, the dome appears half ancient and half inhabited in this hand-colored drawing. The temple of Antoninus and Faustina stands on the left, its tall Corinthian columns still intact while the structure behind them decays. On the opposite side, a small church rises directly from the ruins, showing how Rome reshaped its past to serve the present. Riders, pedestrians, and a small carriage move casually through the space. Medieval towers punctuate the skyline beyond, reinforcing the sense of layered history. In a wide view by Gaspar van Wittel, Rome stretches along the Tiber beneath soft, silvery light. Castel Sant'Angelo rises confidently near the river. Ponte Sant'Angelo crosses the water with steady arches as small boats drift below. People gather along the banks, watching the quiet movement of the city. In the distance, the dome of Sant'Angelo crosses. Peter's stands above everything, subtle but unmistakable. The scene feels calm and balanced, shaped by stone, water, and steady human presence. A quieter perspective of Castel Sant'Angelo reveals Rome from a more open and natural angle. Instead of crowded riverbanks, we see open land, scattered trees, and calm water reflecting the sky. Small boats glide along the river while people walk dirt paths through the fields. The fortress rises gently beyond the greenery, and farther still, the dome of St. Peter's glows on the horizon. The scene feels peaceful, almost rural, reminding us that in the 1700s, much of Rome still felt like countryside beside monumental architecture. This is Rome in the mid-1700s, a city suspended between the ancient world and a changing future, a place where ruins stood beside Baroque palaces, where grand celebrations shared space with quiet neighborhoods, and where the Tiber shaped daily life with both beauty and danger. Rome was crowded, noisy, sacred, chaotic, and endlessly alive. And even now, centuries later, you can walk the same streets, see the same skyline that shaped and brings us closer to seeing Rome as its people. Carriages wait with sound and color through the crowd from every direction. It is Rome at full scale, restless, powerful, and alive in motion. Pilgrims, traders, clergy, and soldiers gather in loose clusters there, while the open space around it fills with The obelisk stands firmly at the center of the square, dominating the surrounding skyline. Its facade is still fresh and commanding, immense, even by modern standards. St. Peter's Basilica in the 1700s feels ordinary, familiar, and lived in. Nothing here feels preserved or distant. Densely packed the ruins once were. Fragments of other ancient buildings remind us how death lies scattered across the ground. Nearby, while fallen stones and broken columns mark large sections of the structure are gone. The ancient arena were simply another neighborhood land rest or tend to animals, as if they move freely through the space, stopping to talk, fully absorbed into daily life. People lapsed, overtaken by plants, and feared in the 18th century. Rome has never been a silent city, or Rome as it existed in its own time. This view of the Colosseum shows Rome as it appeared. For the next few minutes, we explore who observed the city as it truly appeared, and engravings created by artists 50, guided by original paintings. We step into Rome around the year 17, already centuries old. In this Reconstruction, who built their daily lives among ruins that were artists and laborers. By generation, Rome was shaped by emperors and popes with a rhythm larger than the people who lived, pulsed before engines, electric lights, or even in the mid-1700s, long families lean out from balconies to watch the flow of masks and fills every street with celebration and the buildings and the fountain of the four rivers. The square is crowded but balanced, busy without disorder. Vendors arrange their stalls, travelers cross the open space, and children weave between groups of adults. The oval shape of the piazza, once a Roman stadium, still guides the movement within it. Even in the evening light, the square feels theatrical, as if it remains a stage built for spectacle. Santa Maria in Via Lata rests quietly along one of Rome's older streets. Its facade rises with clean Baroque lines and tall, elegant columns. In this engraving, the church feels restrained and solemn, framed tightly by neighboring buildings. People move gently across the steps, their small figures softened by the scale of the architecture. In the 18th century, this was a familiar corner of the city where religious life blended naturally into daily routines. The church was not a destination, but a constant presence along the path to markets, workshops, and homes. The Colosseum appears warm and active in this later view, its arches softened by vegetation growing between the stones. By the 1700s, the structure was both ruin and living.